This is Bishop Michael Burbidge, and you are listening to the Walk Humbly Podcast.
Welcome to the Walk Humbly Podcast from the St. Clair Studio in the Diocese of Arlington. I am Tom Shakely, Chief Communications Officer for the Diocese, and I'm joined, of course, by our host, Bishop Michael Burbidge. Bishop, welcome.
Great to be with you, Tom, and our listeners. I'm sure we're all enjoying this beautiful weather the Lord has given us these days. It's just so wonderful to be out and see the Lord's handiwork in His creation, and certainly as this season, we move into the colorful season.
That's right.
It's just going to be so wonderful. So always a reminder of God's revealing His love for us and His creation, and for us to be good stewards of it as well.
Well, Bishop, I'm grateful for the time with you today. And I think as our listeners, I'm sure, because you've been just on the road recently. You have been doing so many pastoral visits. I wonder if you could share some of the highlights with us.
Oh, yeah. It's that's at the heart of the ministry of the bishop, is to, be out in our parishes and schools and communities, because I have a great team here, like your team and my wonderful colleagues. It gives me that opportunity to be out as much as possible. Can't escape all the administrative responsibilities, but whenever I can be out. So as you mentioned, I've been visiting a number of our parishes and schools, and we've been with our young adults and just seeing a lot of the faithful, and a couple fall festivals, which is always a great time. It's a great way to engage people in a casual setting. So anytime I can be out, and I'm so grateful to our pastors and our parishioners, and who always make me feel so welcome whenever I visit. And so very thankful for that. And we're also in the confirmation season now. So it's just been great. It's a great time of year.
It's a special thing, Bishop. I know, thinking back to my childhood, right, and whenever the bishop or the archbishop would come, it was a special moment for the whole school. In particular, the community, their parish. Because you got to see, in a certain sense, like Dad's coming to visit.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It's that connection, right? It's a connection. A bishop is, God willing, that connection of the faithful of any particular parish, school, with the entire diocese and church. And, it's beautiful to be able to, I always enjoy getting out to our colleges and high schools, especially the beginning of the academic year. We just finished a couple weeks ago, the Masses of the Holy Spirit, asking the Spirit of God to lead and guide our young people in truth and wisdom and knowledge, and help their faculty and parents to do the same. But it's a great time of year.
Well, I know, Bishop, as you're speaking about education and growing in our faith, it's appropriate because the word is that our Holy Father, Pope Leo XIV, is going to be issuing his first apostolic exhortation. It's not an encyclical, it's an exhortation.
Right.
I know I've seen that kind of interchangeably used, but it's called Delexi, and I think it's coming this week.
Right. Yes. Big announcement. I have loved you, continuing the themes that so often we heard from his predecessor, Pope Francis. The exhortation is going to speak about our love, the mandate that the Lord himself gave us. The one who has loved us has called us to love one another, especially the poor and the suffering, and to see in them the face of Christ, and to be instruments of his consolation and compassion. But a great message at this time in our world, this time in our nation, is that we must live and act as one holy family. We must take care of one another, especially those who are suffering, knowing that whenever we do that, we do it in imitation of Christ. And a great opportunity for me, once again, to commend our pastors, to commend our parishioners, all throughout our diocese, at every moment of the year. It is incredible to see the pastoral outreach programs designed in our parishes to assist the poor and the hungry and the suffering. And I see the collection of clothes and food and materials that young parents need for their infants. I always love looking at parish bulletins when I go to parish, and I see nothing but see all these wonderful ministries. So yeah. I think we are a diocese that embraces this gospel call to love one another, especially the poor. But we always need the reminder, and I think from every indication, the apostolic exhortation is going to be a source of inspiration and encouragement. And I always encourage people when these exhortations or encyclicals come out. A lot of people love to do executive summaries of them, but I always think it's very, very important that we read it in its entirety ourselves. And it doesn't mean you have to sit down and read it in one sitting. Maybe you just take your time with it, and maybe there's a paragraph or maybe even a sentence that stands out, highlight it. And what is the Lord saying to you, through the Holy Father? But I think don't rely on summaries. I think it's really important to, as Catholics, entrust it with ongoing formation. This is the way, one of the ways our Holy Father assists us in ongoing formation. He's a teacher, so we should receive what he gives us.
Well, and if you're listening to this after Thursday, October 9th, you'll be able to look up this apostolic exhortation on the Vatican website, vatican.va. Bishop, you also wrote in your teaching office, you've written about migration recently in the Arlington Catholic Herald. We'll link the article in the show notes for listeners, but do you want to share a little bit about what inspired this and what you wrote?
Again, we're as we celebrate Respect Life Month, we know that it's the celebration of all of God's life, of course, beginning at the very beginning with the child in the womb, but to continue to respect, cherish, defend, protect all of human life. And that includes the welcoming of the stranger, the immigrant, the migrant, the refugee, in imitation of Christ himself. So that's something that we've always done as a church, we've always done as a country, and we must continue to do so. Jesus himself says in Matthew 25, "For I was a stranger and you welcomed me." So that's an important thing that we must continue to do. We know that many people come to us from other countries, other lands, are forced to flee because of threats and violence and terror and unbearable conditions. And so we as a diocese from our very beginning, from its founding, has been known for that ministry, for that service that continues. Unfortunately, in recent times, because of lack of federal funding and partnerships, that ministry has, suffered some challenges, but we don't tire of doing the work of welcoming the stranger in our midst. We have, as a church, and we have continued to reaffirm that the church has, and the country has a duty, a sacred duty to protect the country and its citizens. And so we honor that and we respect it. But as pastors, as bishops, we encourage all those who are our elected officials to remember we can do both. We can keep our country safe and protect its laws while also treating human beings with the dignity and respect that is theirs as a child of God, and including those who have come to our country to contribute to the well-being of society. So, as I always say, bishops don't get into the system, the weeds of how you do that, but we will always reaffirm the mandate of the gospel to welcome the stranger. In doing so, we welcome Christ.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Well, as we talk about human dignity, we have some very sad news, actually. Just recently, the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, a part of the executive branch, approved a new abortion pill. The abortion pill is often talked about in the singular, but when people take abortion pills, it's actually a 2-pill regimen. So this is one of the pills that would be taken if you're undergoing a chemical abortion. This pill is called mifepristone, and a generic version of this drug was approved. It's the second one of these that the FDA has approved in about the past 6 years. Chemical abortions, I think, it's a grave injustice in itself, but chemical abortions are particularly relevant when we think about human dignity, Bishop, because they're overwhelmingly the majority of abortions these days.
I know.
I think it's great when we see a Planned Parenthood close, the physical building, but the reality is that pills are being sent by mail now, right?
I think the latest statistics says chemical abortions now account for over 60% of all reported abortions in the country. So it's very alarming.
And since 2000, so 25 years now, mifepristone has been used in 7.5 million abortions. Right. So what is the controversy here? It's not just that another generic mifepristone abortion pill has been approved, but it's that there's serious concerns about their safety. Now, obviously, they're not safe for the child in the womb, but when we talk about safety in this context, we're talking about safety for the women who take the pills and are told in many cases, oh, it's risk-free. 22 state attorneys general have urged the FDA to reinstate safety protocols or just withdraw mifepristone for this use because of its risk to women. When it was initially approved, safeguards were removed, and this is what allowed these abortion pills like mifepristone to go through telehealth or mail order. Coming from the pro-life world, Bishop, you think about the host of evils there that are opened up when these pills can come through the mail. Think about human trafficking, right? Think about domestic violence situations, all sorts of things where coercion and at least the threat of violence can put people, mothers, in a terrible situation. And so all these things are bound up with the FDA's recent decision.
And it's a decision that is, as you mentioned, Tom, all kinds of consequences, horrific consequences, including taking the life of a child in the womb. And so it's very alarming. It is very, very alarming, reckless, and every abortion ends the life of an irreplaceable son or daughter. And these drugs, they're lethal. They're lethal drugs that harms both children and mothers, which undermines the FDA's mission to protect public health. That's what's unbelievable. Why does the FDA exist? To protect public health. And so now instead we're approving drugs that kill and severely harm, because a lot of times these drugs are taken without medical oversight and care. It shouldn't be taken in any circumstance anyway. But it's the FDA is to protect life, to serve life, and it's doing just the opposite. So it's not only a medical issue, it's a human issue. Question whether we will protect life as a country, uphold the dignity of every person, mother and child alike. So here we are. We're people of faith. We live the gospel of life. We must proclaim it, that every life is sacred, and women deserve real care and support in their time of need, that to show them that they're not alone. We are with them. Bring this child into the world, and the child will be loved and embraced, and we will stand with mother and with child. But we have to let our elected officials know that we are, vehemently opposed to this.
And all is not without hope. That's the silver lining here, is that the FDA still says that they're going to do a kind of a top-to-bottom safety review, empirical review of the effects of these things, both short and long term. So you're right, Bishop, as we grapple with this, I think, of course, prayer is in order, but it can't hurt to contact your representatives.
That's right. Let our voices be heard as well, Tom.
Well, Bishop, this past weekend, it was a busy weekend for you, as so many are, but this past Saturday on October 4th, you celebrated a special Mass in Washington, D.C. at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. You mentioned earlier it was Respect Life Month, so you're there for that, but you also spoke about a particular aspect of Respect Life.
Yeah, the first Sunday of October has been a tradition at the Basilica of the National Shrine to focus on the issue that is a great threat to human life and respect for the dignity that belongs to every person as a child of God, and that's domestic violence. But I was asked to celebrate the Mass, praying for that this form of violence will come to an end at the Mass, and to preach about that in my homily. So, of course, we begin Respect Life Month celebrating God's gift of life, the precious gift of life that we can never take for granted, and giving thanks to God for the gift of our own lives. But we also have to acknowledge the threats to human life, just as we did in that past segment. And domestic violence is another threat to the sacredness of human life, because any form of abuse, physical, emotional, verbal, or spiritual, violates the sacred worth of the human person. And so this is wonderful that we have this opportunity to celebrate this Mass because we have to break the silence. It's a very difficult subject to talk about. It's very sensitive because a lot of times with domestic violence, of course, the trust is being violated by a family member, by a spouse, and it's hard. It's hard to acknowledge that, but we need to talk about it because it's happening, and it's happening sadly in our nation at great numbers, domestic violence. And so we have to say as a church, we want to be there to make sure that anyone going through this knows that they're not alone. And the church and through Catholic Charities and through counseling, through other resources are available to assist. So if you know of anyone in your family suffering through domestic violence, and again, it's not just physical. Often it can be verbal and emotional abuse. Your pastor would be able to direct you to both local and national resources that can be of great assistance to you. So we join in our prayer for the end of domestic violence, where people live together as holy families, love and respect, and lift up and encourage and not do harm.
It's a beautiful thing. Thank you for doing that Mass, Bishop, and sharing these reflections with us. Well, if you can't tell, we're certainly in Respect Life Month, Bishop.
Yes.
You recently spoke about this in the context of a statement you released called "The Gospel of Life and the Church's Relationship with Civil Authorities." I know there's been recent controversy and discussion around, the idea of the Church offering awards or honors to political figures who, are never, as our Holy Father said recently, never perfectly aligned with the truth.
Right.
I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about your perspective on that and maybe what the USCCB says.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a sensitive issue, but it kind of gives us the opportunity to repeat what we say so often on this podcast, is that as bishops, we are to engage political leaders and elected officials, and especially, supporting those who are courageously and steadfastly defending the gospel of life and also the commands and the laws that God gives us, because it's difficult for people to do that as political leaders. They pay such a price, so we got to be there to encourage them. But we also have to be there to engage those who oppose us and who oppose what we teach and value. We don't just dismiss them. We try to engage them and enter into a dialogue. And it's often very difficult, especially when we don't agree with what's good and evil. But there's always, pray God, the opportunity for conversion of mind and heart. That's why we enter into a dialogue. But enter into a dialogue doesn't mean that we lift up and we honor those who have consistently denied protecting what God teaches, the natural law, the gospel of life. The USCCB has a very clear policy. The Catholic community and Catholic institutions should not honor those who act in defiance of our fundamental moral principles. They should not be given awards, honors, or platforms which would suggest support for their actions. And we said in that statement, we commit ourselves to maintain communication with public officials who make decisions every day that touch issues of human life and dignity. So kind of just a summary of what I just said. Can we engage? Yes. Do we honor? Do we award? Do we give recognition to those who are violating what we hold most dear? No, we don't. And that includes inviting them to be commencement speakers or speakers at conferences and things like that. We don't give a platform for someone who has demonstrated a rejection of what is true. So it's pastoral, but it's also pretty clear of what it is that we must do. So hope that's helpful.
Thank you for that clarity, Bishop.
Yeah.
It's encouraging.
Okay.
Well, in very fun news recently, one of your recent pastoral visits took you to the Basilica of Saint Mary in Old Town Alexandria for their incredibly 230th anniversary and I guess Oktoberfest, right?
Isn't that amazing? 230 years, the oldest Catholic parish in Virginia. The story goes George Washington was among one of the first donors to the parish. you know?
That's amazing.
So, celebrating 230 years reminds us of the deep roots of our faith here in Virginia and the courage of those who built and sustained the parish through the centuries. So I love parish anniversaries. It's a great opportunity to give thanks to God for those who have gone before us, who laid strong foundations, and thank God for the privilege of, okay, Lord, now it's our season. Thank you for letting me be part of the season. Now it's my turn. It's our turn to do something great for your church. The Basilica, like so many of our parishes, just parishioners who reflect a deep love for our Lord, a beautiful devotion to our Blessed Mother, and care and service for one another. They also, like many of our parishes, are also good at throwing a good party. And I know there's a lot of Oktoberfest going on in our diocese, which is wonderful. It does my heart so good because you just see people together, like enjoying each other's company and the music and the dance and the food. And it's also a great evangelization tool. Because, sometimes a family member or a colleague or a friend, maybe who's away from the church, maybe the first thing we can't say to them is, I want you to come to a holy hour with me, and that might be like a little, eventually we want to get to that point, but that might not be the first thing because we have to take steps. But it's very easy to say to someone who's been away from the church or whatever, hey, you want to go to Oktoberfest with me? Yeah. I hear there's some great food. I hear there's some great music.
Yeah.
Right?
Answering that question. Who are these people?
Right. and then they come and then they see a community. Yeah. They see a community that is really tied together. And what's tying them together? Their faith. And then they see that joy, and then people just ask, wait, where do you get that? And then you see that's how then other questions begin to surface. Yeah. And so I love our parishes do a great job in celebrating the social aspect of being together and enjoying each other. And I always enjoy being part of those celebrations.
Well, congratulations to the Basilica on 230 years. Bishop, this month marks the 5th anniversary of Pope Francis's Fratelli Tutti. For those who aren't familiar, maybe you could share a little bit about that in brief. Fratelli Tutti means, right, all brothers.
All brothers, right? So a call to fraternity, to social friendship, to see one another as members of one human family, regardless of differences in race, nationality, or background. So 5 years later, here we are, and the message of Pope Francis is incredibly relevant. It's a call to action that we must embrace because we live in a time, as we all see, of so much division, not only in society, but sometimes even within our own communities and our own families. So the Holy Father's invitation is for us to break down barriers, to seek reconciliation, to work together for justice, peace, and solidarity. Our president of the Conference of Bishops, Archbishop Bergoglio, in reflecting on this anniversary, reminded us that each of us should examine our own hearts and our actions so that we strive to end any animosity or hostility plaguing our nation. So let's commit to building, the bridges, fostering unity. But I like the Archbishop's reflection because it's, sometimes you read, these encouragement from the Holy Father or statements, and could be a tendency to keep it at a distance. And say, no, okay, how am I living this or how am I not living this? Yeah. And how can I do better in this situation where God puts me at this moment in my life?
Yeah. That's always a challenge, right? It's like the gospel, it's about us, but it's also about me.
It's about me too, right?
It means I have to change. Oh.
Exactly.
When it comes to prayer, Bishop, October is also a special month for the Rosary. Pope Leo recently even made a special appeal to the whole universal church about the devotion of the Rosary. I know you have a special devotion here.
Oh, yeah. I love, great devotion to our Blessed Mother. Praying the Rosary is just such a beautiful, powerful prayer that gives us that opportunity to reflect on her Son's love for us and his life and his suffering and death and resurrection. The Savior who from the cross gave us his mother as our mother, assuring us we need to go to her go to her. And when we do, we find a friend. We find a powerful intercessor. We find someone who walks with us. And Pope Leo has asked us this month, a special way honoring our Blessed Mother throughout October, to pray the Rosary as individuals, as a family, as parishes, and with a specific intention. He said, pray this month for peace. For peace throughout our world. I think we would all agree, Tom, the peace that so much we want for our world, for our country, for our families, for our own hearts, the peace that only Christ can give. So what a beautiful way to intentionally pray for that gift of peace. And I know we're recording today on the memorial of Our Lady of the Rosary, and I have the great joy of praying the Rosary with our students here at St. Thomas More Cathedral School. So we will all be outside today giving public witness and
beautiful.
Praying the Rosary together. And it is so inspiring to see that all the children, all with their Rosary, knowing how to pray and praying with so beautifully, with such devotion. So it's very inspiring. And let's heed that call, friends, to make that intention peace whenever we pray the Rosary this month.
Well, Bishop, any final thoughts for us?
No, Tom, thank you for this opportunity in the Respect Life Month to talk about the precious gift of life, our call to celebrate life and to protect life, and for giving some specific examples of how there are some threats to life right now, but how we can do our part. To be instruments of peace, to lift up one another and encourage each other in faith, to help the poor and the suffering. So we ask for God's help, Mary's intercession, so we may walk humbly with our God. Thank you for listening to the Walk Humbly podcast. Make sure you check out more episodes and all the podcasts our diocese offers on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our diocesan website, arlingtondiocese.org. You can also follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Bishop Burbidge, where I provide a short gospel reflection each morning, and on Instagram at Bishop Michael Burbidge. Stay up to date with news, event information, and inspirational content by subscribing to our e-newsletter at arlingtondiocese.org.